We have seen Nigerians vote for people of the same Islamic faith into the presidency, but we have not seen justice and equity done to all communities, irrespective of their faith. Millions of Muslims are politically marginalized in many parts of the
Can this
country.
man just shut up? Shut up. Shut up. These are the old men pushing religious jingoisms. Men who have nothing in their skull. They have nothing in that their medulla oblongata other than religious bigotry. An elderly man like this, who calls himself a role model for youth, coming out to say that they have voted for a Muslim ticket, but Muslims are marginalized. Muslims are not appointed. What he's trying to say in a nutshell is that the true Muslims, which the Hausa Fulanis always see themselves are not the majority in the current administration of the day. You can say this man who just spoke is an Fulani man, an Hausa Fulani man, indeed. I made a video yesterday. I said Tinubu chased out these charlatans. They went en masse to go and cry at the feet of Tinubu. Oga, we voted for you. We thought you were going to continue where Buhari stopped. Those were the promise you gave us. You know, under Buhari, the Fulanis, they thrived. Whether you are competent, incompetent, or provided you are bearing Bello, Musa, Abdullah, whatever, Tijan, you just, Musa, they just say that you are a Muslim, and more importantly, you key into the House of Fulani agenda, boom, get in there. You can see how they handicapped Yemi Oshibanjo, Professor Oshibanjo. If we go into the time of history, you recall that those days that Buhari was hailed for over 200 and something days, just for a period of 3 months to 4 months that Oshibanjo tried to handle the economy, you recall that immediately began deploying price controls measures. It deployed some enforcement of market prices. They crashed everything in Nigeria within a space of 4 months. We were able to have a taste of fresh air. But when Buhari came back, they kicked Oshibanjo out. They marginalized that man. That man became nothing but a dummy, a baby doll who couldn't speak. The only thing he was asked to do was just go to churches, go to seminars, go and speak your big grammars that you know. Other than that, you have no importance, you have no contributions. In fact, the likes of Ahmed Bashir, the likes of Pantani had more influence in Buhari regime above the vice president. A Buhari would rather ask his fellow chief of staffs, his Fulani people for advice, when indeed, according to the hierarchy, Buhari was supposed to consult Yemi Oshibanjo first. Maybe he wouldn't have made so much mistakes in it. Today, some elements calling themselves Muslim Ummahs, faithfuls, custodians, they have the temerity to come out and tell us that the Nigerian current government of the day, that indeed Tinubu has marginalized them. You know, they felt that Tinubu would get in there, do everything to favor them. But we know that those that are even marginalized, those that are marginalized are not even talking. But before I get to those people that are marginalized, do you even know that the North are now hell bent. They vowed that the one time president we will ever have in the history of Nigeria will be Tinubu. You know why? Because Tinubu has failed them in the issues of appointing strictly Hausa Fulanis. Secondly, in the issue of Islamizing Southwest and Middle Belt. They are unhappy because the Middle Belt today are beginning to be conscious. They are unhappy because today Tinubu is bringing that Fulani power and mighty. You know, they say that the southern Nigerians who do not know how to play power politics, that we are too naive, that we are not political intelligent. They tell us that the Igbos and the Yorubas are like babies, that they only and only them control, dictate, have the decisive, I mean, that decisive power, the decision making power to wake up every day and say, this direction is where Nigerian politics is, where it is going. They hate that fact that Tinubu is now dismantling that their fake empire. They have been able to build a fortress. That fortress has been solidified using Islam. That Uthman Danfodio legacy. I mean, that was the legacy Uthman Danfodio left behind. As at 1804 to 1884, 1894, when Uthman Danfodio died. No, I think Uthman Danfodio died in 1845 or 1849, thereabout. But his children, who were his successors, by the way, they extended that jihad, you know, that conquest. They extended it, but they met their Waterloo when the Middle Belt conquered them. And that was clear. The Middle Belt has always, from time immemorial, never saw themselves as Northerners. However, when Sardauna came, he pushed and he intensified that agenda. Sardauna, I'm talking about Ahmadu Bello. He came in, he pushed that agenda. He said that the Fulanis have to see Nigeria as their estate. Then they started annihilating, subjugating the Middle Belters. They started destroying the Middle Belt organizations. Those that were speaking up, the vocal ones, they started dropping them one after the other. You know, started taking them out of the puzzle. And then along the line, the Middle Belters became suppressed. And, you know, under the era of Buhari, we saw how the Middle Belt was heavily militarized, how the Middle Belt was heavily attacked, how the Middle Belt lost a large proportion of their land, the ancestries, where we were having incessant attacks from the headers. Through Bauchi, they go into Jos, they go into the northern Jos, they attack Benue, they were even attacking Enugu, Ebonyi. You know, that is the agenda. But when Tinubu came in, when Tinubu started working towards, let me restructure this country, can everybody just try and manage what they actually worked for? If I had worked for, let's say, 1 million, can I get 60% of it? And then the 40% can be used as equalization funds. The Fulani sense that, and then they started pushing the agenda. They took those tax reform bills, they took it into their, there's a place they call brainwashing industry, which is their mosque. They started selling that agenda. They started pushing anti-Tinubu's policies. That Tinubu is evil, that he has to be the OTP. Now, Tinubu has now embraced the Middle Beltans. In fact, the Middle Beltans, I can tell you, are the greatest fan base of Tinubu today. You know, they are now saying that what they actually want is even beyond a suitable economy. That what is more prominent to them is Tinubu renaming the Middle Belt. taking it away from North Central, let me rename it as Middle Belt. Tinubu agreeing and working towards a Middle Belt emancipation will totally dismantle the Muslim people. It will totally expose and naked how powerless, lifeless, and empty these people who call themselves the Northern oligarchs are. I mean, you saw when Erufai came out and started boasting with all his shoulders raised, saying that, well, nobody, and it means nobody in the South, whether you're an Igbo man, whether you're an Ibibio man, whether you're a Yoruba man, you cannot become the president if they're in the North, if they do not anoint your head. You know, whenever they say North, they include Kogi, they include Nasarawa, they include Adamawa, they include Ilorin and Co. They include Southern Bauchi, they include Southern Kaduna. They know that Tinubu is a man that never wants to be the guy that is dictating the tune of the rhythm. They are beginning to see that Tinubu is truly a man that has held Lagos State for a period of 24 years. Tinubu, who has mastered the art of divide to conquer. I mean, we all know what happened yesterday in Lagos State, right? Wherein Obasa, who literally got removed by his co-speakers, somehow, some way, had the backing of the president. Today, Obasa hijacked the Lagos State Assembly. He couldn't have done that without the assistance, without the help of Tinubu. So you can see that Tinubu is a man that he would never want to be at the mercy of anybody, most especially in terms of politics. He wants to ensure that, well, I should be the one dictating the way the politics is run. I'm not praising Tinubu. I'm only stating the obvious. Tinubu knows that those that have been calling the shot in Nigeria are the Hausa Fulanis, because they have found a way to suppress a very large, disgruntled part of the Middle Belt. They have found a way to absorb them, wherein some Middle Beltans announcing themselves as North Central. Tinubu will be the one that will eventually change that name from North Central to Middle Belt. Because pre-independence era, all those places were called Middle Belt. That's it. Because then we had the Midwest, and then we had the Middle Belt. We never had anything called North Central. As at the 70s, even pro-democracy, as at 70s, we never had it. It was when the Babangidas and the Abachas came on board. They now fine-tuned it that, okay, let us take away Middle Belt. So that on paper, they will see themselves as Northerners. They did not say Central Nigeria. They could have used that word, CN, Central Nigeria. Northern Nigeria. You know what they wrote is Northern Nigeria. Then Southern Nigeria. Then they should have said Central Nigeria. They said no, North Central. So what comes first defines you. Tinubu has seen, he said, I hope you are following me, and you can see where this Islamic jingo is, that old fool that said that nonsense at the beginning of this channel. program. That is clear. That is the agenda. And you can see that those people that know that Tinubu is now betraying them, who tell me a sensible Sultana that shouldn't betray the Fulanis. Because the Fulanis are not about a working Nigeria. They are not about a Nigeria where every region should achieve their full potentials. What they are after is a Nigeria where it is them first, then others later. You get? They are that a Nigeria first, never. It should be a Fulani first. A Fulani's interest first. After the Fulani has gotten a larger share of the pie, of the national cake, then I can say, okay, in 10, I have taken 7. Okay, Yoruba, you, because you are a useful slave, take 2. Bam. Igbos, this one's, let's tackle us, take half. Middle belt, okay, oh yeah, I'm gonna take. That is their agenda. And Tinubu has said, okay, well, you guys have said you're not going to vote for me. You guys have said I'm going to be an OTP. But I've seen where your weakness is. The weak link to the northern hegemony is the middle belt. And I'm going to break it. I'm going to ensure that the middle belt become very viable. I'm going to ensure that the middle belters realize who they are. On social media, we can see that the middle belters are celebrating their day. On social media, we can see that the middle belters are beginning to have what we call a reconnaissance, rediscovering themselves. They are now reconfiguring themselves. The middle belters are now saying, actually, we are more affiliated with the Igbos, the Nupes, the Ogorimagongos, some parts of, Kogi, say that no, the Nupes, oh my goodness, we fought the war together with Shongo. We have always had our history, our ancestral history connected to the Southwest. So we have to embrace them. We have that cultural affinities. We are not nomadic in nature. We believe in residing. We believe that we as the Nupes, as the Ogorimangongos, as the Igalas, as the Chikuns, that we are residual in nature. We don't start scampering into people's territory because we want to seek for dominance. No, we are not that kind of people. Tinubu is not telling them. He appointed a chief of defense staff who is a Southern Kaduna man, who has come out to say that the fighting that has been going on in Kaduna today was as a result that the elders are the ones provoking the farmers. Who are the farmers? A man who is residual in nature. A man who will reside in a locality, toil the soil, plant the seed. While that plant is germinating, he nurtures it while he does other things. And in a period of 3 to 6 months, he harvests it. Meanwhile, those who are nomadic, who are the Hausa Fulanis, who are not ready to grow the feed of their cows, will walk into a farm that the man who is peace-loving person has planted. The Fulani man will go there, he will hit up the grass, destroy the resource and wealth of that man, take his residual nature as a weakness. Under Buhari came out and said that they are global citizens, that farmers, that headers are global citizens, that they can wield AK-47 for the protection of their cows. And they prospered. Yes, indeed, they prospered. The CDS Christopher Musa has put a stop. When last have you heard of these farmers' elder clashes in southern Kaduna? Gwari, that seems to be the most besieged local government, peace has been restored. This is not rocket science. The problem that we have in Nigeria today is the machinations of the Fulanis. I repeat, the problem that we have today is the machinations due to the greed, the power mongering of the Fulanis. They do not want people, other regions, they do not want people to gain their voice. Their plans has always been, let us subdue them. Thank you. Bye for now.